So it's been 6 months since a mainline installment in this series, so I thought I'd throw it back to a good old rating your unpopular opinions video. Now, I already did this intro, but I'm redoing it right now because in that intro I say that I did a community post where I got lots of opinions, but I'm not going to use those because I underestimated how many other opinions I got from the comment section of the last video. But at a certain point I got to the end of the script and I realized I didn't want to end the video there. I just wanted to get to as many as possible because I didn't want to disappoint anyone, and I thought I should just do it. So a lot of this after about the 8-minute mark is unscripted, but at least you get the raw, unfiltered me that isn't, held down by a script or anything, and I hope you enjoy. So I'm going to get back to the part that I've recorded before, which is again very robotic and not as improvised as this. So yeah, enjoy. Starting with Aaron from the Discord, who says that Mutant Mayhem was doo-doo and ChatGPT could write a more competent script, and I love you, man, but nah. I don't think it was the masterpiece a lot of people said. I did a video that explained how I think it's both a great movie whilst also being incredibly flawed. Script-wise, I don't think the movie is too great. It's a little weak. So I can concede a little there, but overall, this is like a 3 out of 10 opinion. I can't get behind much of the sentiment at all. And then the rest of these are from the comments of the last video. So, starting with JA Productions, who also has some from the community post that we'll get to in the next video, but for now we have this take where he says, he doesn't like surrealism films which are surrealist for the sake of it, and he goes on, and I'll let you read it in full, but essentially his point is that they should have a point because it helps the audience connect and whatnot. But again, I hugely disagree. For one, I don't think any art needs to have a point or explanation, especially surrealism work. Sometimes art works off of vibes alone, and energy and interpretation rather than an explanation. I think having works of art that operate on a completely illogical foundation for the sake of it is how we challenge our conception of what film can be, what art can be, and how we judge it. So I think this is like a 2 out of 10 opinion to me. Then we have Mrs. Bok, who says that Forrest Gump is a bad movie and gets worse if you think about it, and yeah. I really hate this movie. It really irks me, and on every rewatch it gets much worse. I don't have much else to say except this is like an 8 out of 10 opinion. I wouldn't say it's straight up a bad movie, but it really is not that great at all, and it is overhyped to hell. Then Plastic in a Box says that Beau is Afraid is a misunderstood masterpiece, and the main cause of the distaste was the expectations of what we wanted from Ari Aster, and I'm in two minds about this film, because I don't like this movie at all. I really dislike it, but also I think it is so beautifully individual, and though I find it fails at conveying what it really wanted to, I'm glad it has a fan base. Because weird movies like this should exist, and people like this are important to ensuring the next one does. So though I disagree, I'm actually going to give this a 6 out of 10. I do think the hate this film gets is definitely fueled by people's expectations, but as someone who doesn't adore Ari Aster's work, I could judge this aside from that, and it still didn't resonate with me, but I respect this opinion. Then we have a whopper of a comment from Digital Zealot, whose essential point is that Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is great and is due a cultural re-evaluation, and I agree. Especially with how he says that this isn't a remake, it's a second adaptation of the same work, which is right, and it adds a lot of nuance to the conversation. It's like calling the new Last Airbender show a remake of the Shyamalan film, but I absolutely do love this 2005 film. I understand how strange it is, and I recognise a lot of its flaws, but I grew up with this movie, so I have a lot of nostalgia for it. I think the set design is gorgeous. I think it's a much more faithful adaptation. Johnny Depp's interpretation of Wonka is absolutely insane, and I love his unhinged energy. It really displays the psychopath tendencies and personality. He's more than eccentric, he's insane. I don't know, I think it has a lot more charm overall and deserves more love than it gets, so 9 out of 10 opinion. Then we have 4 from The Informer, who says firstly that This Is England is one of the most underrated films of all time, which is absolutely correct. I adore this movie, and anyone who hasn't seen it should. It's set in 1980s England, and it centers around the National Front, which was a fascism movement at the time, and it definitely demonstrates how racist the nation was at the time and how integrated it was into society. It's incredibly powerful and inspired one of the best shows I have ever seen. So yeah, 10 out of 10 opinion, I love this. Then they say Get Out is a mediocre film, and I disagree. It's an absolute banger of a movie. I have no more thoughts on that. Straight up 4 out of 10 opinion, not low because at least you didn't say it was bad. Thirdly, they said The Pacific Rim is Guillermo del Toro's best film, and though I don't agree, I definitely would not dispute this if someone said this to me. So I'm going to give this one like a 5 out of 10. For me, it's easily The Shape of Water, and I'd also put his Pinocchio over Pacific Rim, as well as Hellboy 1 and 2, but otherwise, he just has such a solid catalogue that you could say mostly any of his films and I wouldn't dispute it. And lastly, he says that John Carpenter is the best horror director, and though I disagree, I also absolutely agree. 10 out of 10, no notes. Then David Pictures dropped me 8 opinions, so we'll do a lightning round here. 1. Jack and Jill is a good movie, which is wrong. Bad movie, not funny. As an Adam Sandler comedy apologist, this is one film I can't get behind, so 2 out of 10. 2. The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones are better than Empire Strikes Back, which is again filthy. Wrong. They're not even better than Revenge of the Sith. 1 out of 10. 3. Halloween Ends is the best Halloween movie, and I haven't seen it, so unrated. However, if I did see those movies, I do still think I would disagree. Anyway, 4. After Earth is a good movie, and not really. I love Shyamalan more than you can imagine, but no. 3 out of 10. 5. Knock at the Cabin is better than The Sixth Sense, and finally, yes, I love this opinion. I'm 50-50 on it personally. I don't know which is better. I do love them both. I think they're both like 9 out of 10s, but I can back this completely. 8 out of 10. 6. Crystal Skull is the best indie movie, and this is a definitely not, because The Last Crusade exists, but honestly, Crystal Skull is my second favourite, and I don't care about admitting that. I think it's massively overhated, so 5 out of 10. 7. Barbie is bad and Don't Worry Darling was better, and nah, I think Barbie is overrated, but I'd definitely not say it's bad, so 3 out of 10. And finally, 8. Shawshank is a great movie, but I don't consider it close to one of the best, and absolutely yes, 10 out of 10, banger opinion. It really isn't even like top 300. Then we have the homie Yan, who says that biopics are strangely invasive, and in general I can see where she's coming from. They are oftentimes very disrespectful and unfaithful and feel very invasive, but I'd be lying if I said I could generalize all of them the same way, because of things like Malcolm X, which I think are absolute masterpieces and handle their subject respectfully. So I understand not liking them, but overall I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10 for the simple fact that every biopic is not Malcolm X, but they should be. Then her second opinion is that The Flash and Thor Love and Thunder are not bad movies, and you can read on, but no, 3 out of 10. Then we have Zach, who has some Star Wars opinions that are going to be completely rational, I'm sure, starting with Rogue One is a very underrated Star Wars movie, and yeah, I love Rogue One. It's an incredibly shot movie, and the Vader ending is just different. 8 out of 10. Secondly, The Last Jedi is a mess and doesn't make sense, and respectfully, Zach, I hate you. No. The Last Jedi is the second best Star Wars movie ever made. It's the best movie since Empire, and I stand by that. I won't go into it all now. I will one day, but yeah, 2 out of 10. And thirdly, The Force Awakens is the most underwhelming starter to a trilogy, and he wishes they made Finn the main character, and I disagree on both accounts. First of all, I was there on opening night of The Force Awakens, and that was hype I hadn't seen before. I didn't even see that kind of hype again until Endgame. It's an unreal start to the sequel trilogy, and Finn being the main character would have been incredibly boring to me. I think he works much better as a supporting, and sidetrack, but I also think that making Finn a Jedi would have also been a boring route to take, and I know a lot of people say he should have been a Jedi, but I just don't think that was a very good character move. Not every good character needs to be a Jedi. Anyway, yeah, 2 out of 10. Okay, so truth be told, this is where I finished the script for this video. I figured it was a weekday and I didn't want to edit anymore because I don't have much time to do it, but I'm just gonna go through a few more. These are not gonna be well edited segments or anything. I mean, not like the other ones were or anything, but I'm just gonna go unscripted, reading out some of these and then just relaying my thoughts back to you. First one is from a guy called BNG674, you can read it on the screen, who says, the best movie franchise is the Godzilla series, and honestly, I don't have much experience with the Godzilla movies. I haven't seen a great many of them. I did recently see Godzilla -1, obviously I did a whole video on it. I loved it, but I haven't seen enough to say whether this is right or even wrong, so I'm just going to say that my favourite franchises are Scream, Rocky, and Fast and Furious. Those are my three. I absolutely love those franchises. So personally, I disagree, but I also can't say that you're wrong. So I'm just going to give you like a 5 out of 10. Okay, next we have one from Tamas Bose. Again, you can read it, whatever. Yeah, no offense, I just can't read, so I'm sorry. Anyway, their first opinion is The Usual Suspects is crazy mid, and yeah, I agree. Anyone that saw my Film Bro tier list, I think it was, I explained that I don't like this movie much at all. I thought it was really good the first few times I had seen it when I was like 14 or whatever, but nowadays it really does nothing for me. So yeah, a 7 out of 10? Okay, so their second opinion is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is a nice movie and that's all. It's not the best comic book movie, not even better than the first two. Okay, what? Right. No. I mean, I'm gonna do a Spider-Man tier list soon, so I'm actually gonna save all my thoughts for there. But, you know, for now, 3 out of 10. Terrible. No. 3 is the new Batman movie is a great example of style over substance. Cinematography and music is amazing. The whole cast is great, but the script is really a mid-crime story, and then goes on to do the whole rata lada whatever. No, I actually think there's a lot of substance going on in the new Batman movie. I saw it when it first came out and I didn't think it was actually that great. Again, I thought the cinematography and music was incredible, but otherwise it wasn't really that good. But I did recently rewatch it on my 4K Blu-ray and it is incredible. It's a really good movie. It went up from like a 7 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10 for me. There's a whole lot going on in that movie. I mean, the biggest arc in general is just that Batman goes from being vengeance to being a beacon of hope. In the beginning, you know, you see all these criminals that are terrified of looking in the shadows and whatever because they're scared of Batman, which I think is incredibly powerful, but also by the end of the movie, he realizes he needs to be more than just a rival to these criminals. He needs to be hope for the citizens, which is a very important distinction. I mean, the first time, you know, a civilian sees him at the beginning of the movie, they're absolutely terrified of him, but by the third act, you know, they're all following him as he guides them out of this terrible situation. They go through the whole Thomas Wayne not actually being the best guy, you know, he made a lot of mistakes, and whether what Bruce is doing is justified or not, you know, whether the legacy is worth carrying on. So I think there was a lot left in the end anyway to Bruce's story in particular. I do think for Batman as a symbol has a lot that he goes through, so I disagree. I would give this like a 3 out of 10, I think. And 4, he says that Captain Marvel is on par with half of these Marvel movies. Nothing special, but a fun movie. Not as bad as people say, and I also agree. I mean, I think Captain Marvel is massively overhated. I think Brie Larson is definitely massively overhated. And that movie is about as good as any Marvel film that's come out since Endgame, really. It's better than most of them, so whatever, you know? Yeah, so, I don't know, 8 out of 10? That sounds good, right? Right, so we have one that I actually skipped when I was writing the video because I didn't really want to get into any of these, but you know, I'm here, I'm reading them, so why not? So I have a couple of hot takes from Johan. Jesus Christ, it's probably Johan or something like that. Whatever. So part of the magic of movies for me is the idea of real people acting and pretending to be someone else, which is why I do not really care about animation. Live action movies feel more special to me because you are constrained by reality in a way. And that is something I disagree with so fundamentally that I don't even know how to articulate this. So for the first time ever on this series, I think I'm gonna give this a 0 out of 10. I think that might be the worst opinion I've ever heard. So congratulations, Johan. You did it, my bud. Anyway, Kenneth Branagh's Death on the Nile is very overhated, and I wouldn't know. I can't get past that one clip that I keep seeing of Gal Gadot, and I don't want to see it. The Illusionist deserves better than just being remembered as a B version of The Prestige, and I'm someone who hates The Illusionist, and I think it's lucky to even have a legacy so bright as the B version of The Prestige. Tobey Maguire is overrated AF, and no, he's actually underrated. He's a brilliant actor, and he doesn't get much work because, you know, he's the Spider-Man guy, which I think is incredibly cruel. Anyway, Molly's Game is a 10 out of 10 film. Disagree. Oh, I've not been rating these, sorry. The Death on the Nile one is very overhated, unrated because I didn't see it. The Illusionist deserves better. I'm giving that, I don't know, 4 out of 10. Tobey Maguire is overrated, a 2 out of 10. Molly's Game is a 10 out of 10 film. That's like a 5 out of 10 opinion. I don't really have much of an opinion on that. Don't Worry Darling is quite good. Still not seen it. And Superbad is unbelievably boring. 1 out of 10, terrible opinion. So, yeah, moving on. Okay, so next up we have Mayo Diaz. I think I got that one right. First of all, Hereditary is boring, not scary, and overall really pretentious. I don't know what all the fuzz is about. And I actually feel this way about Midsummer. Hereditary I quite like, but I really don't like Midsummer. So no, disagree. 4 out of 10. The pretentious angle I kind of see, you know, because I do think Ari Aster is quite up his own arse a lot of the time, but you know, I don't think it's that scary either. It's good. I think it's a good movie, whatever. Raiders of the Lost Ark is a good film, but by far the weaker Indiana Jones from the original trilogy. And yes and no. So I like the idea that Raiders of the Lost Ark is not as good as people say it is, because that's what I feel. I don't think it's a very great movie. I think it's completely competent and that's about it, but I do think Temple of Doom is a little bit worse. So, you know, I mean, I think we agree The Last Crusade is the best one, so I'm going to give this maybe a 5 out of 10. The Human Centipede 2 is a good movie, or at least a decent one, because it does really well what it wants to, that is being a really graphic, disturbing torture porn with some real photography and great acting, and actually kind of, yeah. I don't think the Human Centipede 1 is all that great, but the Human Centipede 2 is weirdly good. I mean, I don't think it's great or anything, but I do think people, you know, attach this stigma because it's the Human Centipede 2, but I do think it's worth more than people give it credit for. So yeah, 6 out of 10 opinion, it's alright. The Hurt Locker is mediocre and shouldn't have received an Oscar, and that is a film I've not got around to yet, so unrated. And Cats and Dogs 2001 is amazing and should get more praise for its creativity and effects, and I haven't seen this movie since I was a child, but even then I could disagree with you. Then we have a series regular in Bought Plays who says that Avatar 1 and 2 are some of the worst films he's ever seen, and 0 out of 10 again. Okay, I'm partially kidding, but also, no, I'm not. Avatar 2 is the greatest film ever made, I fear. And the last one from the comment section, we have Teach Them True Darkness, who says that American Psycho is not that good and is completely carried by Bale. And, no, awful. However, I will say that they added on that they really like the part where Jared Leto gets killed with an axe, and I agree. So I was going to give this like a 4 out of 10 because absolutely not, but that last comment made me bump this to a 6. Okay, so we're going to go to the community post now, starting with Fulgency, who says that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974 basically isn't a masterpiece. It's not bad and it's ahead of its time, but it's a 7 out of 10 at best. And I don't think I agree. I do think it is pretty much a masterpiece. It's very good at implied horror, which is very difficult to do, and I think some of the cinematography choices are timeless. So even though I don't think it is maybe a straight up 10 out of 10, I can't advocate for us as a culture to revise this movie. So yeah, 4 out of 10. Then we have G Chain, but can you lot just have normal names, please? Like, readable names. I can't keep doing this. Anyway, right, so they say, I think E.T. is boring, and, I mean, I guess, you know, I don't love this movie, I don't feel connected to it, I didn't grow up with it, and I don't think it's that special, but for the people that do love it, they really love it, so I don't know, maybe I'm missing something, so 5 out of 10, because I'm pretty sure we're wrong. Anyway, right, so he says that, oh shit, I shouldn't assume, sorry. They say, I am still an avid MCU supporter and don't really think it's dying, and I just think that's not really an opinion. It's kind of an indisputable fact. I mean, they're making less money, there's way more studio trouble, there's rewrites and change of directors, casts are constantly changing, movies are being cancelled, and then the ones that do come out end up bombing really hard, and I don't see how you can really think otherwise. Now, I do definitely think the MCU and comic book movies in general could come back. I do think they really could, but I think it would take a lot of revisionism over their process. They have lost a lot of faith in fans, me included, so I think it would just take a lot for them to come back, which they could, but I do definitely think it's dying. So again, another 4 out of 10 or something. Okay, right, so when done right, the horror and romance genre dwarf every other one, and I agree, I think horror is the greatest genre known to man, so 10 out of 10. And also that is for romance as well, I'm a big softie. Right, so Vlogger23, a name I can say, says Superman the movie is one of the worst movies ever created. He goes into, oh shit, I need to stop doing that, I'm sorry. But they go into why, and they're right, because not only does it fail the entire series moving forward, because he can just fly around the earth and rewrite history, which he never does again, but he totally should, and they shouldn't have shown us that. Because he can do that, it takes all of the stake out of the plot. Now, listen, I don't think this is one of the worst movies ever created. I think Christopher Reeves is a phenomenal Clark Kent and the best one we ever have. I do think this is probably the best Superman movie we've ever had, but I don't think it's that great anyway. I think it has a lot of problems, so 5 out of 10. And then Charlie Sheeple says, I can't really say much because of its reputation of a literally me film, but I think Drive is a pile of dog doo-doo, and he goes into why. But listen, the movie is good. I know it's had a lot of, reevaluation as a society. People don't think it's that good anymore, but listen, I think it is good. So 3 out of 10, I disagree, but I respect your opinion. If you want to have that, you have that, man. It's not a film I feel overly passionate about. Okay, so John DeBomb says that as a heist film connoisseur, The Usual Suspects is the most boring, contrived, and easily predictable heist movie, and blah, blah, blah. Right, we already had a Usual Suspects dog pile, but I'm going to jump on it again. Yes, 8 out of 10. Wait, no, he says he'd rather watch Lift. 1 out of 10, sorry. Then Sneaky XD says that 2001: A Space Odyssey is long, loud, and overly pretentious, not even close to Kubrick's best, and though I kind of don't agree, I kind of agree. So I don't like 2001: A Space Odyssey the way everybody seems to, but I do think it's a vastly important and brilliant film, so you lost me there, but I do also think it's not even close to Kubrick's best. I think The Shining and Eyes Wide Shut clear it by a long mile. Okay, so friend of the channel, Riley Rayburn, who's an upcoming filmmaker who you should go and follow because he's making a film right now called Kevin's Last Halloween, and it involves Freddy Krueger. I think it's going to be good, so you guys should go and, check it out when it comes out and all that stuff. But anyway, he says, Super Mario Bros. 1993 is a fantastic, creative, and transformative adaptation that has a lot more going for it than the recent animated movie. He goes on to explain these points. I have read them. I understand where he's coming from. I disagree. However, I do think stylistically this film is amazing, and also if it had not been attached to the Super Mario Bros. IP, I think a lot more people would like it. I'm not one of those people, but I do think people would like it more. So 6 out of 10, honestly. And then Let's Go Champ 22 says Once Upon a Time is Tarantino's best movie, Kill Bill is one of the worst, and kind of Let's Go Champ, because Once Upon a Time might be Tarantino's best movie. I did a Tarantino ranking and Once Upon a Time is not at the top, but if someone told me they think it's the best, I would be on board with that. However, Kill Bill is not one of the worst. I mean, actually, Kill Bill Volume 2 maybe, but Kill Bill Volume 1 you're on crack. And then Mark Perkins says Scarface over The Godfather, and yes, absolutely. I don't like The Godfather. I think it's slow. I think it's boring. I think the performances are good, but that's about it. However, Scarface is so good. The cinematography is striking. Al Pacino as Scarface is absolutely unhinged. Tony Montana, one of the best characters in cinematic history. That's my film bro moment. I love Scarface, so yes, 9 out of 10. Friend of the channel, Zach Bryant, says he doesn't think Alex Garland's Civil War looks all that good, and obviously you can read now about all his reasons why, but I agree generally with all of this. I don't think it's going to be that good at all. I actually have a lot of positive thoughts on Garland as a creative, so this makes me incredibly hesitant to think that maybe I won't like this one. So yeah, 7 out of 10. And then we have a few from Valiview Productions. First one being Wreck-It Ralph is the best Disney animated film, and no, dude. Listen, I love Wreck-It Ralph, but Wreck-It Ralph is not even maybe top 25 best Disney animated films, so whatever. I mean, I appreciate the love for it, I do, so I'm gonna give it like a 5 out of 10, but like, no. 2 is Across the Spider-Verse is great for the first hour or so, but becomes far too predictable by the end. I mean, maybe. I think it falls off during the end, but I don't think it becomes quote-unquote predictable. So yeah, I can't really get into this one too much. I kind of agree, but I kind of don't. So again, 5 out of 10. 3, Equalizer 1 is better than John Wick 1, barely, but yeah. Agree. Absolutely agree. I think the John Wick franchise is far better than the Equalizer franchise. I don't even think that's close. But between the two first movies, I think John Wick 1 is a good movie, but I think Equalizer 1 is a great movie. So yeah, 9 out of 10. Great opinion. It's unpopular for sure, but I'm with you, man. 100%. Okay, so 4, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is the best MCU movie, and I don't agree at all. However, I respect this heavily, so 8 out of 10. And Shrek Forever After is better than Shrek 1, but not 2, and absolutely, Shrek 2 is a height that franchise is never going to reach again. However, Shrek Forever After is definitely the second best one. It is really good. And I think general consensus suffers for this movie because by the time it came out, Shrek was a meme. So it did become really difficult to champion these movies, but it is a really good animated film, so 8 out of 10. And we come to our penultimate comment, which is from DCS Media, who says, Reservoir Dogs is better than Pulp Fiction. I adore both, but I find RD the tighter film. I connect with the characters. Okay, yeah, absolutely. I think Reservoir Dogs is Quentin Tarantino's best film. I think Pulp Fiction is massively overrated. I don't even have it in my top 5. So yeah, 9 out of 10 opinion. I'm completely with you, man. I don't need much explanation on this one. And then they also say Pan's Labyrinth is overrated as hell, and no. 2 out of 10. Okay, when we come to the final opinion of the video, we are very late into this. I've been improvising for way too long, and it's from JA Productions, who made their cameo earlier on in the video, who says that the original Romero Dawn of the Dead kinda sucks. I'm gonna let you read this whole explanation. I'm not gonna read it out, but I have read it before, and I do kind of agree. I understand it's very influential, and I understand its position in cinema history, but I just don't think it's that great for me personally anyway. This is how I feel about Night of the Living Dead also. I just don't think it's all that great. But listen, Romero is great. He's a great director. This movie is great, apparently. It's just kind of not for me. So I'm with you, but, you know, whatever. So 6 out of 10 before I get cancelled. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the ones you're not as passionate about, clearly. But, whatever. The original Cars is just as good as the other 2000s Pixar movies, and absolutely, I think Cars is phenomenal. I'm sick of people trying to apply real-world logic to this world. You know, a lot of the criticism comes from stupid stuff like, oh, how do they eat, or how do the organs work, or the tongue, but shut up. Just buy into the movie. I love the story, I love the soundtrack, it's good. I like it. It's comfy, whatever. Yeah, 10 out of 10. I think this movie's better than Wall-E. Yeah, suck it. I said it. Whatever. Edward D. Wood Jr. is not a bad director. I don't know that name off by heart. Give me 1 second. Okay, I just googled this guy. I've only seen like 2 of these movies, and they were both B movies, which apparently this is like his whole thing. Maybe you're right, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. Unrated. I don't have much of an opinion here. Okay, I'm going to quickly jump to your last 2 because I have thoughts on this third one. Hot Shots over Top Gun. I don't know. I've not seen Hot Shots. And again, Hot Shots over all of the Rambo sequels. I don't know because I've not seen Hot Shots. However, your third one, The World's End, is just as good as the rest of the Cornetto trilogy. I'm with you, and I'll go further. I think The World's End is better than Shaun of the Dead. I said it. What's up? At me. Don't care. It's so good, and Shaun of the Dead doesn't really hold up anymore. I don't care. It's just not that good of a movie anymore. So yeah, I guess that's my hot take to end the video on. So please feel free to submit more in the comments because I'm going to do another installment of this whenever. I mean, I say next month, but it'll probably be the month after or the month after or, you know, next year. Who knows where this is going to go. I don't plan these videos very well. So just leave your unpopular opinions because I love reading them anyway, and they should be in the next installment. And I hope you guys have some fun going through some of these with me. I love hearing your guys' opinions, so whether it's one you have an unpopular opinion on or not, as always, keep watching movies.